Hey there, it's Sandra Pike from Royal LePage Atlantic, and today I am so excited to be working with some other agents here in the city. We have Glenda White from Exit, we have Richard Payne from EXP, Brenda Kielbratowski from Keller Williams, and James from Engel and Volkers. So we have a wide dynamic of agents here today who live in different parts of the city. And we're getting a lot of questions about the market, and we thought that we would just go over just a few things. And so I'm going to be a bit of a commentator and ask some of the questions here. So this market, Brenda, as you know, it's been freaking crazy. It's been like absolutely nuts. Where do you see between now and let's say 6 months from now, the longevity of competing offers? Do you see that still happening in 2021? What's your thoughts?
I do believe we're going to have some more in 2021. I think there's a lot of factors right now affecting what's going on. And one of them, as we all know, the basics, the supply and demand, when supply is low, demand is up. But on top of that, there's also low interest rates. Yeah. And then you have people needing space now because they are no longer going to have an office that they drive to every day. They need one in their house. So they've got to find a place to live. And we're getting a lot of expats that are in Toronto. Normally when people migrate back to Nova Scotia from Toronto or Vancouver, it's because they're retiring. But now I'm getting calls from people like in their 40s because they're saying, my permanent office is gone. I'm coming back home. I work virtually now. Yeah, so I do see it carrying into 2021.
Awesome. Richard, what would you say your prediction for the market in 2021? Do you see, let's say, competing offers are locally slowing down? Do you see more houses coming onto the market, or like, what are your predictions? What do you think is going to happen in 2021?
Oh, I think we've seen a lot of price increase, primarily multiple offers going over asking price. So our overall average is up something like 24% on last year, where we are now. I think it's definitely going to flatten off into next year. I don't think we can keep increasing like this. Then you get into the question marks that everybody wants to know, which is like, ooh, are we in a bubble? So we're not in that situation right now because we're not having a lot of appraisal issues with people getting financing and then failing because their property's overvalued. But I do think we're still going to stay in that low inventory levels. We're just not getting the amount of houses coming onto the market for the people who want to buy the houses. Going back to Brenda, it's in migration coming back to Nova Scotia that primarily is driving the want and the need for the houses. And we just don't have enough of them to sell. A little bit of COVID-19 risk in there, probably. People getting nervous about putting the houses up for sale and everybody coming through the house. So hopefully, we kind of keep our fingers crossed that we actually get a little bit more inventory into next year. Supply, hopefully the demand stays the same, and therefore we slacken off a little bit slower price increase would be nice.
Yeah. So Glenda, you were around back in 2012 when we had the Halifax ship start here. The market was just crazy and properties were going 30, 40, 50, 60,000 over ask. But when you tried to sell your house 3 to 5 years later, you either broke even or you lost money. Where do you see buyers right now who are overpaying? Where would you see them in 2023, 2025? Do you feel that the housing market is going to sustain that price in the next 3 to 5 years?
Honestly, it's a really hard judgment call right now. What's going to happen? Like you said, we've never been in a pandemic before. So people keep asking me all these questions. Well, should I buy? Should I buy? And it's like, even my own son, he's taking the real estate course. He finishes on Monday, and he's been asking me all kinds of questions. And, what's going to happen with these people? And he wanted to purchase. And I'm like, I'm even having a hard time saying to my son what I think he should do, because it is a very nerve-wracking time of year. And you also are falling into the winter. So we normally have lower inventory anyway at this time of year. So following everything, to be honest, is extremely hard to figure it out. And back to what Richard had said about the appraisals. Now, and I've been doing this for 16 years, I just had an appraisal that did not go through on a house. Oh, wow. The people, I was a listing agent. I had multiple offers. Of course, we took the best offer. We did have a backup offer, but the appraisal came back 10,000 shy. So
Wow.
I was like, you got to be kidding me. It's very stressful because now you have to go back to the seller and say, listen, we're $10,000 short. Now we can go to the backup offer, or we can work with the people that we have that have done everything, have done the home inspection, has done everything, and now see if you can get them to either make up the difference cash wise. But as you know, most people can't do that. So we did end up getting $5,000 out of it in the difference, and we did move forward. But I can tell you, it's scary to me because what I'm finding is some of these agents, and I'm going to be honest, I couldn't believe what we had gotten for this property. I was absolutely, utterly floored myself, and I would have never allowed a client of mine to pay that kind of money. However, these people did. So I'm finding it very hard. And I almost feel like, how do I say it? I always felt like I was a numbers person. I'd look at everything and I would sort it out and know exactly what to do. Now I actually feel like I don't know what I'm doing anymore because none of it makes sense. The numbers don't make sense. I'm having a hard time even advising people properly. And I don't know if you guys are feeling the same way, but you always don't want your client to overpay. You don't want them to also lose, but you also want to be able to give them good advice. And myself as an agent, and I've been doing this for a long time, and I've always done very well in the industry. However, I'm struggling even as an agent to try to really tell people what to do. So I was glad when Sandra had sort of put this together because I want to feel if everybody's feeling the same way I am.
I would have to say, when it comes to my sellers, I am so excited, like giddy up, let's go, let's see how much money we can get. But when it comes to my buyers, I'm really hesitant.
And struggling.
Yeah. I struggle, yeah. And only because living back through 2012, right? And listing homes that year after that. Yeah. James, a quick question for you. So have you seen, an influx of outside Canada coming in? Like, how has the market been for you?
It went blank for a minute. So you're directing this to
James.
To James?
Yeah.
Okay, great.
What was the question, sorry?
The question is, have you seen, so we know that people from, the outside, of the province are coming home again, but have you seen outside the country, like, are you getting Americans coming in? Are you getting Europeans? Like, I know we're all doing virtual tours, but what would say be your demographic of clients that you're getting now?
Well, we definitely have seen a large uptick in international interest here. One of our partners, Juwan.com, which is based out of Hong Kong, it's kind of like a viewpoint, but for Chinese investors. So Halifax right now is ranked the 5th most searched city in North America. We've always been in kind of like top 50, top 30 over the years, but over 2020 and then 2019, we were number 5. It's not so much from an investment perspective, like, looking for that, $30 million, $20 million, $10 million property. And their average price point that they're looking is around $375, $350. So it tells me it's either COVID related, looking to make a move to a safer country, rather than using as an investment. And I think because of our average kind of sale pricing, we're not going to be in that position where, say, like Vancouver and Toronto, where real estate investment is a lot higher. On the other side of the spectrum, we've seen a large uptick in American, Portuguese, Spanish, German, and English, but it's a mixed bag as what those motivations are. So for example, like in the United States, it's one part COVID, it's one part politics. The average lead that I've been getting through our network for American clients is kind of that young family demographic, Eastern Seaboard, United States. And the conversation, it always starts out kind of summer home, but once you start digging a little deeper, it seems to be more, COVID concerns, political unrest, raising a family in that environment, which is unfortunate, but that seems to be a driving factor. The same thing comes out of the UK, a little bit more political driven, with them leaving the EU. So there's starting to see a bit of a brain drain, and especially with the countries that were hit hard by COVID, a lot of them were kind of, like, for example, the Roy, that's predominantly bought by a lot of European clientele, where they're looking for kind of a safe haven. And when they kind of look into Canada, they come to a couple of conclusions. British Columbia, there's a foreign buyer tax. Ontario, there's a foreign buyer tax. Quebec right now, Montreal, probably one of the hottest markets in the world. They're starting to see a little bit of a slowdown. And so what these buyers are looking at is say, okay, cool. Canada looks like a really nice spot to be. Handled COVID well, politically stable. But they're like, okay, well, BC is a bit more, foreign buyer tax, Ontario's foreign buyer tax. And really the only markets left for them to look at are the prairies or the Maritimes. And well, honestly, the Maritimes are going to get a bit more traction in that respect because it's affordable. And everywhere you go, there's kind of, oceanfront, lakefront, nature, those sorts of things, right? So
Yeah.
we're definitely on the map now from an international buying perspective for a myriad of reasons.
Wonderful. So I got a question for you all, and I know that I didn't send this to you. So I feel that we haven't seen the effects of COVID truly on our economy. And, my thoughts, and I'm predicting that once the second quarter hits, that we are probably going to see bankruptcies, foreclosures, which is so unfortunate. So I feel that the pool of competitive offers here locally is going to go down because there's going to be more product. But what I'm thinking is going to happen is that we will have more people from outside of the province in competing offers as opposed to local. Just my thoughts. What would you think of that, Richard?
Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, a lot of the clients that I'm dealing with don't necessarily tend to be Nova Scotian anyway. They tend to be Alberta, BC, Ontario. So even now, a lot of the multiple offers I'm in the middle of, my clients are actually not in Nova Scotia anyway. So I'm already kind of feeling that effect from the in-migration from the other provinces, just like James was saying, we're becoming a lot more attractive. So yeah, I think that attraction factor for the other provinces is always going to stay. The Nova Scotians, we all know what we have. We live here already, so we're happy. So it's just going to be further in fuel to other provinces to start looking at Halifax. And like you say, if we see foreclosures in Q2, we'll start getting the investors that'll come back. You'll start potentially getting the flip market returning, but you'll definitely get the other provinces seeing the value probably quicker necessarily than Nova Scotia will actually see the value in those foreclosure style properties.
What are your thoughts, Brenda?
It's funny you brought that up, Sandra, because I actually made a little note here this morning. Right now, of course, we're in a seller's market, but I've noted even in the last week or so, there's something is just simmering. And I think come the spring, we're going to be the seller's market. It's going to be right on the cusp, or it's going to tip into a balanced, because again, you're going to have the winter and everybody sitting around in the spring market. And once the vaccine's out, and we've all said, everybody coming back to Nova Scotia is going to, so I believe that, yeah, you're right, that it will either stay right on the cusp of sellers, the competing offers will go down, or it will flip right into a buyer's market.
James, what are your thoughts?
Long term right now, well, I mean, it's crystal ball stuff, trying to predict kind of where we're going with it. But I think with 2021, the thing that I've been trying to focus on has been that foreclosure side. And I don't think we're actually going to see foreclosure properties, because I think what will happen is people that are not in a position like that don't have jobs and have to deal with their
They're going to sell.
They're going to do quick sales because they're going to make more money in this market than they are going to go into foreclosure.
Right.
But how do you track that? How can you possibly track that from an analytics perspective to say, okay, is it going to add 10% to the already record low inventory? Is it going to add 20%? Is it going to add 5%? We don't know, right? So I'm a little bit more bullish on the market. I think we're going to be I think 2021, the first half we'll see a dip. The second half, we're going to see a bit of an uptick because the demand is still there. And we still got really, really low inventory numbers. I just don't know if it's going to make enough impact to bring it into a balanced market.
I wanted to mention too that as you guys know, I do a lot of mini homes because in my market, there's tons of them. And the prices of the mini homes right now, I don't know if any of you guys even consider to even look at that, but they're it's massive. Like the growth on a mini home from one year to the next year. For an example, there was one I sold last year for 79,000 and it went for 104. I had one that was listed for 119 and it went for 135. So my thing is right now, you know, with that market, you got a lot of these people that are putting their mini homes on the market because they're trying to bank, make money. But guess what? I have no place to put them because they can't afford the inventory that's moving forward. Even the ones that are in Sackville that are at 250, now all of a sudden they're going at 280 or 290. So they don't have enough down payment money to move forward. So those people are either going home with their parents or they're going to an apartment, which they're paying through the nose for an apartment. So all this money that they think that they're going to reap the benefits of, that money's going to be gone in rent. And so, you know, I've been going to people's houses saying, now, are you sure this is what you want to do? Because this is your options right now. The likelihood of me finding you something in your price range is highly unlikely. So there is a lot of people that are banking on and taking the money. And I guess, I don't know if they're planning on investing it or what their plans are with that money. But a lot of them are like, oh, I'm just going to wait till the market gets better. But I'm like, what if it doesn't? Then you've taken your only source of where you live that is affordable for you, and now it's gone. So that's what I've been running into. And like James said, I agree 100% with him when it comes to the fact of, is there going to be foreclosures? There shouldn't be, because anybody and their dog is going to buy something that they can get at an affordable price range before somebody's going to allow it to go to foreclosure. I 100% agree with that, because like I said to my husband the other day, I said, anybody that this happens to and gets in this financial position where they can't afford their home, there's tons of people out there to buy it right now. So unless they're super highly uneducated and don't have any idea of what's going on in the market, it would be absolutely crazy for somebody to let that happen to themselves, to go to foreclosure at this time. And that's just my opinion. Again, I don't know, but that would be my thoughts of what's going on. Like I said, I wish we all had a crystal ball, because all of us would be millionaires and we could do a lot of things, but none of us have been through a pandemic in our lifetime. So nobody knows what's going to happen, really.
Great.
But my son's off work. He works at the CAG. He has no work. Thank God he lives at home. But what are those services? What are they doing for those people now? When the CERP money's gone and then there's nothing, something's going to happen.
Yeah, no, I agree. Well, everyone, I want to thank you all for coming out, and maybe we'll get together again. Take care.
Sounds good.
Cheers. Bye.
Thanks.